Hi, cats and kittens. We're here at Kelter Doom. It's episode 416. My name is Alex.
My name is Brendan.
And Gary the intern is somewhere picking his butt, as usual.
No, Gary's out writing apology emails as we speak.
Just copy pastes.
Thoughts and prayers, everybody.
Thoughts and prayers.
So anyway,
press H to honk.
How are you? How are you now?
I'm good. Tonight? We are close to like a going on a week since you had your grand visit to our humble domicile.
I did.
Your ribs are hopefully healing. For my children.
Slowly. I visited Alex last weekend. It's funny. I was thinking we used to do, if we were visiting, it was a spectacle, and we'd make a show out of it, and it was going to be a live event or whatever.
You guys could actually see what Erica looks like.
I'm sure Erica does not want to be
she
associated with this.
That's it.
Erica knows that when you're inevitably fired from your job because of an episode of this show, she wants plausible deniability so that she can retain employment.
Yeah, I would want her to retain employment too.
I'm sure you would.
And I could just stay at home and watch Zachary. And we'd watch nothing but Star Trek.
And he'd go into a coma. He'd be like, so boring.
I would just give him raisins and he'd be like, okay.
Yeah, so I have not recovered from my visit. I have suffered physical damage, probably a bruise. Emotionally, but also mostly physically.
Physically, yes.
This visit was not as traumatic in terms of restfulness. You know, in the past, it's been Nicholas up at 5:15 in the morning.
Yeah. And
we went to bed at 2.
Yes, we were good boys this time.
Very hungover.
Yes.
This time was very no hangover as far as I was concerned.
We switched to beer. That's probably why.
Well, our stomachs couldn't physically hold enough liquor. Which is why there's no hard liquor on the episodes anymore.
No. Hopefully, your stomach is good too. We fed your belly pretty well. I hope.
Yes, you guys did. There was a lot of food.
A lot of food. Yeah, that T-bones.
I didn't need any. Yeah, Alex grilled up a couple of steaks or 3 steaks for us, and they were. Especially since the last time you were talking about making a steak, you were telling me about how you were microwaving them. So I was a little nervous, and you're like, "I'm grilling steak today."
I always get very panicky because whenever I cook, I think Brock Lesnar said something about this too. Is that when he cooks for like his own family, he's like, whatever, I'm cooking however I'm cooking. But when I have guests over,
you're worried about me?
Yeah, I'm worried about everybody.
Yeah, but
whenever I make food for other people, because I don't want them to get sick on my behalf and then not want to come back again and stuff.
Alex, you don't need to
So I just get very panicky about stuff.
You don't need to be worried about making me sick.
No, I do.
I could have made myself sick a million times. I've eaten hamburgers.
Yeah, but I'm the one who's making you the food.
I understand, but I would not be like, I'm never going to see Alex again because I got sick that way. It depends on if I had to
Some people die from food poisoning.
If I had to poop at your home, I would never come back.
Nicholas will walk in there while you're on the toilet and be like, Uncle Brendan, do you want to play with the tablet? And you're like, oh, educational
Can I
games.
say that horrified me?
What?
When Nicholas, God, sorry everyone, welcome to the. I like how our show has gone from talking about people assaulting dogs in attics to discussing the idiosyncrasies of your children. This is now. But when your son was like, I have to go to the bathroom, where's the tablet? I was like, the f*** is going on in this household?
It's like Uncle Harold has to use the loo and he's asking for the sports section of the newspaper.
That's what I mean.
Which for you Zoomers, newspapers are these giant sheets of paper with letters and pictures.
So growing up, were you just like, I'm going to the bathroom, where's my book?
Yeah, I would have books sometimes in the bathroom. I would have kind of like a lot of like picture informant, like eyewitness books, those eyewitness books, or Far Side. I would read Far Side comics on the toilet.
Where's Waldo?
Where's Waldo? Yeah, those were actually good.
See, I'm not a multitasker on when I go to the bathroom. It's like I'm there for one specific reason, and that's all I'm focused on. Yes, it's in and out. There's no dawdling. Okay, I'm censoring that because I don't want you to be doing impressions of me.
That's our thumbnail.
Going to the bathroom.
We're going to be talking about a movie review, and that's my face.
No, it's like magazines, newspapers, books, phone. Okay, so
Well, it's iPhones now. I mean,
well,
iPhones, tablets,
okay.
you know.
So I have one of my major pet peeves is when, and thankfully it doesn't happen very often, but I hate it, is when somebody doesn't lock the bathroom door, and you open the door, and there's like some dude sitting there, and you make eye contact, and it's just like, and then I feel like I did something wrong.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
There was no way you could lock the door from the outside, and you don't know anybody was in there.
So this happened at work recently.
Oh.
And I walked, so I'm a very slow door opener too, because I give people the opportunity to be like, no, stop. And they did it. It was more like a delayed motion of checking to see if the door is unlocked, then pushing it, and then like it's like the door slowly opens, and then there's the eye contact, and he's on his fucking phone, and then he's just like, oh no, and then he starts laughing, and
he fall off the toilet? It's like, oh no.
I laughed and shut the door, or I didn't laugh. I shut the door. I'm like apologizing, and then I immediately went to Liz's room, and I was like, I fucking hate everyone so much. And she's like, what happened? And I'm like, fucking dude in the bathroom. And she's like, well, was he standing up? I'm like, no, he was sitting down.
I didn't even get to see anything.
Fucking phone.
Oh god, I love it when I've been in a public restroom. I mean, it's a little bit different, but like speaking of the phone thing, public restroom, and I have witnessed somebody at the urinal with the phone, and they fumble it in there.
I have never seen that.
Oh gosh,
you think I would have seen it at a bar by now, but I have not seen that. Huh.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like drunk people get like a much stronger grip on their phone at that point, but it was just
They start overcompensating for it, hoping. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like I feel like this great regret for opening this door, but I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I still feel shame for it. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't think you should feel bad about it. I mean, like I said, it's not your fault that you didn't lock the door. I mean, also, did he have earbuds in or anything? Like he couldn't hear?
No, I think he was
all on him.
He was probably watching YouTube. That is a behavior that I think is grounds for execution.
Watching a hub.
Watching the hub while
bathroom?
you're going, not even public. Watching the hub going to the bathroom. Either method.
Yeah. I think just kind of like watching it on your phone is sort of, I don't know.
Oh, well.
I mean, it's fine,
sometimes
but it's like
it's a lot of work to get. Well, see, I don't have a family.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Sometimes it's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go over to GIF. See what's going on over there.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a rect thread. Oh, wait, what's this? Yeah. So
yeah.
It's a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
But
Alex, different breed of people.
Speaking of regrets, earlier we were discussing our like movie purchase regrets that we've had over the years.
Yeah, so I kind of, you were here this past weekend and you saw my extensive DVD collection of DVDs, and when you kind of start looking through your collection of DVDs, I mean, you probably have, over there in the back of this shot right here, I can tell that you've got some DVDs and stuff like that.
They're on the other side. They're over yonder.
Oh, over there. Okay.
Yeah.
You probably have some in your collection there that you probably are like, I could have second guessed myself on getting it and stuff like that. And I probably have many more. I feel like I haven't been in your apartment for a long time, but I feel like I think I might have more than you.
I think you do. I sold the thing that you're forgetting is that I sold a lot of my DVDs while I was in college for drug money. So I
do mine for formula, diapers, and Erica's cake habits.
Gotta fund Erica's cake habit.
Fondant man.
All that cake goes up her nose.
There's this guy in the corner that sells fondant out of the trunk of his car.
It's funny. I did start slowly buying back DVDs that I sold that I didn't want to. I wasn't selling my DVDs for drug money. I was selling them because the first time around I was trying to make a movie and I was like, oh, this is very dramatic and poetic, and that didn't go anywhere. And then the second time was just because I was in college and I just wanted money.
Yeah, we all do. Yep.
So I was buying back some of them, like the Terminator 2 slipcase I bought back.
Oh, the metal one?
The metal one.
Oh, that's a good one. I have that one.
See, most of my DVDs that I have currently are the ones that I never wanted to part with. But I can think of a few. Most of the DVDs that I remember thinking, I don't need this, was anime.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they were kind of like spur of the moment. You're like, oh, this show is kind of cool and stuff. And then years down the road, you're like,
well, remember in the olden days,
when Keith Burgess was still doing stuff.
If you couldn't rent the anime, the only way to find out if you liked it or not was to buy it. So there was a large percentage of DVDs where I was like, oh, Animerica says this is good. I heard good things about it. I'm going to buy it. What is this garbage that I'm watching?
Why did I buy Spriggan?
Luckily, I rented that, but like there was an.
I didn't. I bought it. It's still in there, and I guess there was some remake or some rehash or whatever recently that people are going like, oh, it's actually pretty good. I'm like,
all I remember from Spriggan, there was a big like hologram dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of it.
I think I haven't watched it for at least 2 decades, maybe. I could say that now, but I feel like the plot was they were trying to find the like Noah's Ark or something because it was
sounds familiar.
It was able to do something with like creation of life or something like that, and that's how they came across like the dinosaurs were in there, but they were like a hologram. It was. I don't know what the.
So anyway, media that you dislike haven't bought.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh, it's one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah. But,
especially
21-year-old Alex was a completely different animal.
See, especially as a Paul Thomas Anderson fan, though, at that time, I would have thought that you would have had already a predisposition to dislike Kevin Smith for some of his behavior around that time.
Yeah.
Do you post as Magnolia fan on moviepoopshoot.com?
Yeah, a while ago. So?
How many people want to kick some ass? I do.
Dogma.
Okay. Dogma was the one before that. Okay.
I didn't hate
I never saw Dogma.
I didn't hate Dogma. I think I saw Chasing Amy, Dogma, and then Jay and Silent Bob, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I'm done. Okay, I'm done.
I was like, haha, this is funny. Oh, look, Mark Hamill. And then I was like, oh, why did I buy this movie? So I ended up just taking it to like Goodwill and like giving it up and stuff like that. And then the other things
nice of you.
In more recent years was the box. Like, I think it's like the first 3 or 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. I think it's the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones. And I was like...
First 3 seasons of Game of Thrones?
Yeah. Well, they're pushed way to the back and the bottom.
Gotcha.
Where they never see the light of day. Mostly because... for good reason.
There were things that I bought that I just was not... like, okay, here's one that might be shocking. The remaster of Akira by Pioneer in 2001, maybe 1999, something like that.
Was that the one with the new dub?
Yes.
I think that might be the same one I have.
the new dub wasn't doing it for me. I missed the original
Mm-hmm.
the original streamlined dub, and everything else.
You
that
just
was
fall
there,
in love with it when you saw it for the first time.
Well, and even like all the other stuff that was there just wasn't good. I don't know. It was like production report was already on VHS. I was just in general disappointed by the whole thing, and I remember selling it back. It was like a 3-disc set, and I was just like, I'm fine with what I've got. I can wait for a better version than this. And then there have been. So, and what other discs have I bought where, here's a weird one, and it might even be worth a bunch of money now, but I don't care. I had originally bought the ADV Evangelion DVDs, like the original DVDs. I had it on VHS, and then I bought the DVDs. First time they put it on DVD. And they did a weird thing where they're trying to fix something in the transfer, and it just looked terrible. And so when that DVD series, I just remember selling it, being like, there will be a better version of this. I bet you now it's worth money because it's bad. But
also because it's probably, it was done by ADV, which I don't know what they make on open market and stuff like that. What ADV one? Oh, I have the ABDB Nadesco series from them.
Oh, it's really not worth that much money.
Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Nadeshko, I don't know. I remember you having that, but
yeah, that's one.
This was what I had.
Saw that one?
2002.
Maybe I saw that one in your collection. Because how many, or maybe do you have that white one?
Brand new. Yeah, I have the only official product from Evangelion I have currently on disc is this.
Okay, that's the one I okay, yeah, because I remember it was like a white spine.
Yeah. But like $245 for this. Does it actually come with
End of Ava?
Does it really come with that? I don't think it does. I don't believe that, actually. Because these discs are expensive on their own. Anyway, I don't want this to turn into a anime thing. Anything else where you've been like, man, that wasn't worth it?
Maybe something at the time, which I could, in years since, I could have gotten, like you said, like you wanted to get a better version. I have a DVD copy of Goodfellas, in which it's like a VHS. It's like side one. It's like side one is half the film.
You have to flip it,
and then you have to flip it. And I was just like, this. And I remember when you flip it to the second half of the film, it automatically starts playing with subtitles, and you have to turn it off. And it comes in those. Do you remember the? It was the cardboard, like the flap.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the little plastic side that you kind of snap it shut and stuff. It's one of those. It was like early 2000s, like mass produced type of DVDs. And I wish I could get like a better version of it. Yeah, that's the exact one.
Snap cases.
It's
interesting that
you some of those. Yeah.
It's interesting that you had to flip it. That means it predates the dual. It predates the dual layer disc. DVD 9 effectively is what it was, which was like a 9 gig disc with 2 layers.
And I've got several films that I've got a decent amount actually that have the was it the flip case, snap case, whatever that is called.
Yeah, but this I mean,
but that's the only one that I actually have to flip of all of them.
That's very strange. That's actually really strange because that's like a holdover from Laserdisc. I don't know that I've ever seen a movie where you had to flip it in the middle on DVD. The flippable discs. Actually, do you know who did have that?
Maybe it's because of the runtime or something, I'd imagine.
Goodfellas was like 2 hours?
Something, maybe 2:15.
That still could have fit 2.5 hours. It's not
2.5. Okay.
It's not that much longer than a normal Hollywood film.
Yeah,
I mean 2.5 hours. I feel like is
short by today's
short
by shit standards.
Yes, which is horrifying.
Yeah. Give us an intermission. Let's go to the bathroom. There's nothing wrong with that.
Speaking of horrifying,
Yeah.
you know what's spooky scary?
What's spooky scary, buddy?
The Joker.
The Joker. Did you know that there's 3 Jokers?
I did not. I don't know anything about this.
Well,
What is going on with the Joker?
so a friend of mine who's a good listener and watcher of the show, I'll give a shout out to him.
But not by name.
Not by name, but he knows who he is if he's
just a
listening and
shout
watching this. Well, he sent me this text of this post, I think it was, or just a general like text, and he said that, hey, there's this thing where DC is saying, comic books, they make up stories all the time and they do rehashes and relaunches and all that stuff. But they had this thing where and he'll probably text me after he hears this and clarifies on it, but there was something where DC had the storyline where they were saying that in the Batman Gotham universe, there were 3 different Jokers that were all running around Gotham City, operating simultaneously, and they knew of each other. And I think it was where one of the Jokers was based upon the Jack Nicholson version. A second one was based upon the Joker from Killer Joke, I think it was, where it has like the failed magician, kind of like vaudeville artist kind of character. Oh, that might be it. Yeah, that's the one. And then there's a third one, which is like I don't know what the third one was. There was like a lunatic or something like that.
Golden Age, Silver Age, and Bronze and Modern Age.
Mm-hmm.
The criminal, the clown, the comedian.
Yeah. So it's basically how they're trying to create like some sort of a origin story, which I think they kind of touch upon with the Joker movie, the Killing Joke, I don't know whatever the name of it is, where they try to give like an origin, also like the original '89 Batman. And I kind of feel that the Joker of all characters in the Batman universe, pretty much like any comic universe, is one character who they should make it canonical, in which there is no official origin or explanation for his existence or coming to be. Because I feel that one of the best mystique that kind of exists about him is that you don't know what his background is, you don't know his skill set, you don't know anything about him, and that's kind of what benefits him. Because I feel with the relationship between him and Batman is that, considering how much of a lunatic he is, I feel like he kind of has this odd rule, which he himself doesn't kind of really want to know what Batman's or like true identity is, because it's part of like the whole cat and mouse game that they play and such like that. And I think that by trying to create like some background for him is sort of ruining part of that mystique about the Joker. Because we all know, Harvey Dent, Selena Kyle, Oswald Cobblepot, Edward Nygma, and who they are, and what their backgrounds are and such like that. Even going all the way like somebody like Clayface or Calendar Man. But the Joker, I think that since they always hold him in such high esteem in terms of like top 10, top 100 villains of all time and stuff, he's ranked up pretty high there all the time with like something like Magneto or a Marvel equivalent of some sort.
I feel like Batman's probably more iconic than Magneto is.
No, in terms of villains.
No, I'm saying in terms of villains, I think the Joker is higher than Magneto.
No. I know. But like he's always ranked up pretty high. Like I guess like the Marvel equivalent would be like maybe Magneto.
I see. Gotcha.
Saying,
Sorry. I see.
Because people and kids these days think like Thanos is the big baddie, and it's like Magneto's got a much better track record and stuff like that. And
Yes.
Thanos, quite frankly, is kind of like Marvel's version of Darkseid.
I never
How
cared.
Iron Man is basically Marvel's version of Batman.
Okay, I'll put it this way. I never really knew about Thanos outside of his name until the Marvel movies came out, and I still
Nobody really did.
don't
honestly.
care. He
Be
still
quite frank.
seems like a B tier character compared
That
to Magneto or Apocalypse,
Yeah.
or like any of the '90s X-Men villains were a lot better.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? A great metaphor is that he was a journeyman center who signed a 1-year contract with the Bulls back in 1996, and he got a ring. And then he got let go of that 1-year contract.
And then he lost all the jewels in his ring. But, sorry, you were talking about Joker.
No, go ahead. Please proceed.
No, I was just going to say that I think that it's interesting that what you're talking about is kind of how Christopher Nolan approached the Joker character in The Dark Knight,
Yes, very much so.
consciously have him give opposing origin stories to people around him, and just really being an agent of chaos that isn't, and it's in the comics, it's very faithful to what Joker has always been like up until now, at least. And but I always felt like Christopher Nolan was some guy who just kind of had a vague idea of what these characters were, and then kind of took his sensibilities and wrapped it around these existing characters. But maybe I don't know, maybe he's more of a DC fan than I expected, because it is a much more nuanced approach in the writing. Or maybe, so let's say Jonathan Nolan, which is his brother, who I think wrote The Dark Knight, maybe with him, had a much more faithful, nuanced approach to Joker that the current DC authors perhaps do not. But isn't this kind of like isn't this like a thought experiment, though?
I think it's some kind of it might be like a one-off type of story or something like that.
The canonicity of the series is subject to interpretation. I'm not a continuity hound personally. I just want a good story. All my favorite stories are out of continuity, so that appeals to me more. If this was in continuity, we would have had our hands tied and forced to do certain things. Okay, so it's not even up to interpretation. It's non-canon.
Right.
So,
and I'm kind of glad that they actually explain that and stuff, but I just kind of also want DC to kind of remember that in the years to come, because
don't do this.
Having read how many years worth of X-Men comics where they try to basically kind of wash clean like some storyline or characters and stuff and try to like almost like reboot them, as kind of how they did it with the original X-Men, where Beast was like a human, like he wasn't like blue hair and fuzzy and stuff, and then they sometimes kind of like refresh him and redo and stuff. DC did that with the new 52, I think it was, where they tried to like do like Batman year 1, Superman year 1, stuff like that. So
how do you get from this to this? Well, for Beast,
that came up in the 70s,
for
wasn't
Beast,
it?
didn't they try to say that he's still continuing to mutate? Was like his...
They did that in the First Class movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was Fraser ever actually the voice of Beast?
None in
the movies?
I don't remember in the cartoons.
Not in the No, I meant in the movies. Kelsey.
Oh, he played him though.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, in X-Men 3.
God.
They put the whole blue thing
so it
on
wasn't
him.
a fever dream.
He went full tilt.
It wasn't a fever dream that he went.
No.
I remember him being listed.
It's very soothing.
I had an issue of Wizard where it was about like our ideal candidates for the X-Men movie that's coming out in 1995. and like they had Jean-Claude Van Damme as Gambit and Kelsey Grammer. I mean, what's his name? Picard was always going to be... Patrick Stewart was always going to be Professor X. It was just too perfect, so he was always the one. But I thought that Jean-Claude Van Damme was kind of fun because of his accent. He could have...
Who did they have as Magneto?
I don't remember. I'd have to look.
Or Wolverine? Do you recall?
Wolverine? No. See, I don't remember the characters that I was into. I was not into Wolverine, but I remember Kelsey. I remember Fraser was listed for Beast. So, anyhow, yeah. I mean,
but that's just like my little thing. It's like I would like them to hopefully never actually set in stone that say, hey, this is the actual official DC sealed approval origin of the Joker, because then they're just going to end up ruining it like a few years down the road, saying like, it was a joke, we're pull the wool over your eyes, stuff like that. And they're going to completely negate that with some future storyline or thing like that. And it's like, don't even bother doing that, Don't waste our time. Don't waste your time either. So that's my that was Comic Book Corner.
No, we're not done.
Oh, we're not done? We're
No,
still going
sorry.
with comics?
I'm looking up who...
Because that would be interesting to see who it could have been considered.
Oh my god.
If they say Schwarzenegger, I'm like, I'm leaving. It's like, there's no... Because isn't Wolverine actually like 5'4" in the comics or something?
Alex, are you ready?
He's also Canadian.
Alex, are you ready?
Bring it on.
So this is the issue. I remember this issue. 300-page year-end spectacular. This was the artwork for Cyclops from the 1995 Fleer Ultra trading cards. So yeah, Patrick Stewart, Professor X, Michael
Bishop.
Dorn, isn't that what's his name?
Worf.
Yeah, they were just
Yeah,
Star
I'd be
Trek,
down with that.
Star Trek on the brain.
I'd like to see. Yeah, he keeps the mustache and the goatee
in '95.
Little-
Yeah.
from Worf.
Yeah, that's
And he has
actually
a
really
ponytail, remember
That's
in
actually
season
really
7?
good.
Good tea. Nice house.
Yeah, I'd be down with
That goatee looks just like Bishop. I mean,
Yeah.
Bishop's goatee looks just like
And
Worf's.
Michael Dorn's, he's a solid built dude. I mean, he
In
he can pull off
1995.
them. Yeah.
Omar Sy.
Oh.
I don't even remember this.
Nobody does. Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, I would have said like Dolph Lundgren could have been Colossus. The better choice. I don't know. about
Michael
that, Fred.
Biehn as Cyclops.
From Terminator 1 and
Terminator 2.
Aliens. He
Or
played
Aliens.
Hicks, I think.
Yeah, he did play Hicks.
James Marsden.
I don't know who that
Iman.
is.
David Bowie's wife. She was like a supermodel.
Oh.
Or
I
she
think
is a supermodel. She's
Halle
still alive.
Berry was fine.
Halle Berry's fine.
But this
yeah.
is a pretty like specific comparison, but there's Jean-Claude Van Damme,
I never saw him with that hair. That's interesting.
but now you see it. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, the character.
Nicole
they got was
Kidman
terrible.
as Jean Grey.
Yeah.
In 95. Everyone remember, this is 1995.
1995 when these people were still
Super hot. Tia Carrere?
Tia Carrere. No, she was played. No. They had Olivia Munn play her, and how did they? What year was this article? The Last Stand. Yeah,
2006.
she did not play her in last. Oh wait. Oh, Last Stand. Okay, because then when they did, what was it X-Men Apocalypse? It was Olivia Munn that played her.
2015.
Oh, okay, 2015.
Sorry, guys. Olivia Munn's a
That's
much
fine.
better option than, because comparing this
Mel Mellon
to this.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, Clint Eastwood is Cable.
Cable. Oh boy.
Rutger Hauer, interesting pick.
Yeah. Huh. Played by Gandalf.
Oh, by Gandalf.
Clancy Brown. Yeah, Clancy Brown could have been good.
I don't even know who that is.
He was in a bunch of different. He played Kurgan in Highlander.
I see that. Thank
and
you.
then he was like he was also like the head jail guard in whatchamacallit, Shawshank. Oh yeah, White Queen. Was that Miss Frost? Emma Frost?
Yeah, I think so.
Rebecca De Mornay. January Jones. Oh, Vader. Vader was.
Pro wrestler
a little
Vader?
too
Me
fat.
neither, but Wizard thought he would be perfect Juggernaut.
Oh, yeah, that was a terrible casting. Glenn Danzig?
Who else in 95 would fit?
Well, Glenn Danzig is supposedly just as tall as him, so... That's kind of a hard one.
The most unshaven hero in comics would be brought to life by brooding rock star Glenn Danzig. All I know about Glenn Danzig is his appearances on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
And in the summertime, you got this.
I got a question. How long does this blood last?
I don't know. You know, let me talk to my blood guy here.
The elfin blood will flow forever for eternity from the elfin graves. Forever.
This is f***ing great. I'm gonna line this thing with gargoyles for the sacrifices.
What's your name again?
Dan's a
Huh?
Number one, the Hoodie.
Oh, they didn't have Beast in here. I guess it was just a fever dream.
That was your Mandela effect.
Yeah, well, it was seeing him cast and then retroactively thinking Frasier was listed on this Wizard article.
We just used a BuzzFeed.
Hey, Alex, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do, man.
Well, it was the only issue that I guess I could have done it.
That's fine. It's fine. It's over with. It's over with.
If you want to redo it, we can redo it.
No, we're fine.
Oh, this is taking me back. All right. Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
I have an X-Men Blue trading card in a binder in my bedroom right now, but Erica's sleeping, and it's late. I don't want to get it. I'll show it to you maybe next time.
So, as you know, X-Men and a lot of comic books became cartoons for children in the 90s. But as some people may be less aware of, unless you follow Secret Galaxy, there are a bunch of R-rated movies that actually became hit children's cartoon series.
And toy lines.
And we're going to look at a few of the and toy lines. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. Stop it. We're going to look at a few of them right
Bonk. Bonk, 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 bonk.
Go to horny jail. So this is I don't know what this is, but like I was looking for one thing in particular, and these all came up and reminded me that these even existed. So this is just like cartoons based on things that they probably shouldn't have been based on. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. I can vaguely remember this. This seems like another Sunday morning cartoon.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I do remember the Mask cartoon and subsequent toy line.
Yes.
And Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this.
There's no console exclusives. There's not. You remember also what was cool about consoles back then is that if you had one console, you got like one version of the game, and then on the other console, you would have the other version of the same game because the way they had to go and develop it and design it. Like Aladdin. I had a Super Nintendo, but I feel like the Sega Genesis version of Aladdin was way better.
Yeah, it was different. They were different.
Yeah, yeah. Which is kind of unique. Now it's just it's the same.
So Ace Ventura had a whole thing going on. I kind of remember this, like I said, the reindeer hunter. I kind of remember this like being a Sunday morning thing.
This is definitely a Sunday morning cartoon.
I wasn't too into...
You saw it come up on Channel 50 and you're like, yeah, I'm fine. Let's go to church, Mom.
Yeah, and they always had like these really obnoxious cards.
Dwayne Capizzi.
Yeah.
God, that face just looks... Ugh.
But see, The Mask was part of this.
Crossover. Top 10 anime
episode.
crossovers.
So who did the voice?
Michael Dangerfield?
Uh-oh. Whoa. Huh. Well,
Oh, he does Lego now.
he's got a...
Okay,
He has,
good for him.
He was in Sausage Party. R.I.P.
He's in Smallville. Wait, he played Lex Luthor in...
Is that what that said?
I think so. I think he's the guy... He actually played... If that was him, I'm not certain, but I heard that, like, people kind of... Yeah, I think he played Lex Luthor in Smallville.
No.
And people are like,
Dark
why didn't you
side.
just cast him in Batman versus Superman?
He was no, he wasn't. He was no, Alex, you crazy person.
Yes.
Stop. He was not Lex Luthor. He
Oh,
was
okay.
Gordon Godfrey, Darkseid security guard. He was in 5 episodes.
Oh, well, anyways, the guy who played Lex Luthor in Smallville should have been the actor to portray him in Batman vs. Superman, which would have been a very nice callback to Smallville and tying that all together. But instead, we got Jesse Eisenberg.
Rambo, The Force of Freedom. Did you
Okay.
watch this at all?
I saw the toys, I never saw the cartoon.
I don't remember either one. And I was a big fan of R-rated. Well, I like the
Well, anything R-rated, quite frankly.
at that time. It was like all the cartoons.
A fine Corelco production. That knife. I heard somebody say one time those type of knives are completely ridiculous and not that effective.
Not for me.
They used Frank Stallone for the model too.
So yeah, I never saw this. RoboCop. Now here's where it gets real.
Yeah.
RoboCop was definitely. I had the action figures. I had the car. They had the little caps in the back. They would.
Yeah.
I sent away
gun.
the UPCs to get the glow in the dark RoboCop. Mm-hmm. But the
I
thing
love the
is,
smell of those caps too.
yeah.
After you like popped them, they were
like sulfur and gunpowder.
they were
or
like Yankee
something.
candles for 8-year-old boys.
The thing is, okay, so like we've got these shows that are like from R-rated stuff, like RoboCop, the Ask Matt's been R-rated, Toxic Avenger, right? Police Academy,
Yeah, Beetlejuice was a good movie.
Conan.
Beetlejuice was a good cartoon.
But the thing
Dumb
is,
and Dumber.
the thing is people get all like uppity about like, oh, can you believe that there was a cartoon based on an R-rated movie? To me, it's sort of like, okay, but it's not like they're actually adapting. The first scene of RoboCop isn't him getting his arm blown off and a bullet in his head.
Yeah, it was when he was already RoboCop.
He has a laser gun that stuns people. It's like obviously adapted for 8-year-olds and not as vividly violent as Conan slicing people's arms off and Toxic Avenger having that wonderfully brutal scene of the little kid's head getting run over by a car, which is still one of the most like disgusting sequences in cinema. It's so dirty and wrong.
God bless trauma.
But you know what I mean? It's like people are like, ooh, can you believe that somebody made a cartoon out of the Toxic Avenger? Well, it's like an adaptation.
Right.
It's clearly not.
It's basically like
You got to go to Japan for that.
it's like if you basically told like a bunch of 10-year-old boys like a synopsis of RoboCop. It's like, oh, RoboCop is this police officer who's badly hurt, but they save his life by basically turning him into this this cyborg, and he has this cool laser and the thing. It's like, what do you think it would look like? And they're like, oh, this is or Toxic Avenger or something like that, or they see a picture of a production still of Rambo. And they're just like,
Yeah, your imagination goes wild. It's filtered through a 10-year-old boy's imagination.
and compared to some of the other
look
cartoons
at it.
around that same time period, these were pretty tame compared to like some other ones that were either on par or a little bit more than that. My brother and I actually had a few action figures from Toxic Avengers. We had this guy that had this big nose. Like the army guy.
Boogers come out
Had
of
the
his
booger,
nose?
yeah. And he had the one leg that was
too.
actually like a plane wheel because he was like a pilot. And
Oh,
then my
yeah.
brother had
There he
the
is.
dog that had this really long pink phallic looking tail, like tongue. It's kind of weird.
Big
Yeah, there he is, that guy. We had those two
big
guys,
pink lipstick coming out of his tail,
his mouth.
This guy?
And you could that guy, and it's like his head would like open and close.
Oh, I remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Realistically, wasn't Toxic Avenger not too far off from Captain Planet? I thought that Toxic Avenger was another environmentalist.
I think that's what the kids' cartoon was sort of portrayed to be. To kind of, be like, I think it was more like dangerous chemicals and stuff like that, or something like that. They try to make a more gross version.
Following the success of environmentally minded cartoons like Captain Planet, Toxic Crusaders feature character Toxie, a mutant, leading a group of outsider teens on a mission to save the planet from pollution. So there you go.
Sounds familiar.
Left all the sex and violence that had been hallmarks of the film, left behind all of the hallmarks of the film series.
No locker scene, boys. Sorry. Conan. I watched Conan a lot, and it was actually pretty good. Nobody got their arm cut off or stabbed or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I was saying, it's not. There's been a lot of pearl clutching is probably over exaggerating it, but it's still like there's this. I feel performance going on of, like I said, it wasn't literal adaptations of literal interpretations of the properties. It was a cleaned up, ready for prime time, ready for Saturday morning interpretation of the basic premise of something.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. But Alex, do you know what we've been watching?
What have we been watching, dude?
The Starfield announcement thing.
Yes, Starfield. We finally got the, I think it's the first new IP coming from Todd Howard's closet in a quarter of a century, I think somebody said.
Todd Howard's closet.
Dressed as
if this is what's coming out of Todd Howard's closet, then frankly, I'm disappointed.
Really?
I would want something a little sexier.
Oh, then I'm fine with the Teletubby shotgun look.
Keep it in the closet. Oh no! I just meant Starfield isn't sexy enough.
Oh, it's not sexy enough for you.
Him in the Teletubby with a shotgun is much sexier.
Oh, well, it is. Well, you don't see anything, chest below. So.
Oh, what is this nonsense? What is this?
Why do you have to sign in to watch? There's nothing in that video. What? Because they're shooting pew 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 sci-fi laser blasters?
I can't bring up the Starfield stuff. All right. Well, you talk about your impressions on Starfield.
So, like I said, Starfield is their first IP in many, many, many years because it's always been a flip-flop between, Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and then Elder Scrolls and then Fallout. There's some other things that Bethesda does that they kind of own smaller properties or smaller studios, which all of it was purchased a number of years ago by Microsoft. So they're all under ZeniMax Media, which was the parent company of Bethesda, was purchased by Microsoft. So they're all under the Xbox banner now at this point. So they've created a new IP because they needed something, because Elder Scrolls 6 is taking under the next 10 years to make. And they've created this game called Starfield. And it takes place in the future. It's a sci-fi action adventure RPG, basically kind of like, I would describe it more as Fallout taking place in space, with a far more realistic type of space setting than some other kind of crazy sci-fi things. From what it sounds like, they have taken elements that are found in Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, some stuff from the Fallout universe, kind of put it all together in a sense. And what was the other one that we talked about? Outer Worlds was another thing that they kind of took about, and it looks like they've kind of taken parts of it and have put their own touch on it, and are going to be having the game come out, I believe, like the first week of September this year. So we're just over 2 months away, I think, from the actual launch of the game. It's coming out. Base price is $69.99, so we are at the $70 mark.
I think that's where we're stuck at from now on.
I think that's the new $59.99. But from what I've seen, it looks very nice. They are saying that the galaxy itself has 1,000 planets in it that could be visited, but depending upon what type of planet, I'm guessing that there's certain things that are available or searchable on those planets. Some stuff that isn't, kind of like No Man's Sky, where No Man's Sky has, what perpetually generating planets. What is it?
Procedurally generated.
Procedurally generated. Thank you. Yeah. So there's basically just whatever comes up. These ones are supposedly all created. Sorry. So there's stuff where you can build bases. You can. The big thing is you have a ship that you can modularly create, very similar to that of No Man's Sky and Star Citizen, and you have a crew and things like that. So there's a lot of different things similar to that. You can visit these spaceports, cities, things like that. So there's probably an actual storyline, because I think they were saying that they're trying to find some sort of object or book or star chart or whatever with the main group of people that you meet. And this is all just going off the actual trailer. So it looks very promising. It's kind of nice to see them. They did not sci-fi. They did fantasy games with Elder Scrolls. Fallout is kind of like your atomic punk, post-apocalyptic future. And this is sort of them doing another thing, which is going to be in the sci-fi realm. So they're kind of trying to make 3 different types of themed genre type of games and such like that.
Yeah, so interesting looking game. Mm-hmm. It's, beautiful. Really quick. Hello, everyone. If you are sick of YouTube, please download Simple YouTube Age Restriction Bypass for Tamper Monkey or Grease Monkey or whatever script editor for your browser of choice. Firefox is the one you should be using. And then and you can bypass it. So anyway, point is, looks great, A+.
Yeah.
But aren't we a little worried about what the requirements are for this game?
That, and also the fact that it is a Bethesda game, as we all know. Us gamers have this thing about Bethesda where they kind of...
Aside from
some
Fallout
stuff.
76, I feel like they've had a pretty good record.
Yeah, I think they were a little iffy at some points with Fallout 4. But you know what? I mean, here's the thing. Everybody talks about the bugs and patches and stuff like that with Bethesda games, but at the same time, Bethesda games sell like hotcakes, and we always come back to play them because the best thing about Bethesda games is the modding community, guys. And while the company themselves, the publishers and the developers should be the ones who do this themselves, the modders are also going to go ahead and be able to fix things way before the actual devs get around to doing something. But at least with, the first several weeks, if not months, of playing the game, people will see what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be fixed. Because I'll tell you something, at least with the engine that Bethesda utilizes, I feel like it's able to be worked on a lot quicker by mods than, Cyberpunk, for goodness sakes. That thing is still just...
Well, it's something to consider that, for example, El Chessbreach continues to be doing Fallout mods almost virtually exclusively, and he's been making content for 10 years weekly if not multiple times a week, of Fallout mods for Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Fallout 4.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. And they're not old mods. They're new mods that are coming out for Fallout 3. So there's a strong modding community here that Bethesda has wisely latched onto to help sell their games.
Yeah, because I think even though Fallout 76 kind of had a very, very rough launch, when they did Elder Scrolls Online, it actually was kind of successful, and it actually is pretty strong for their online thing. But I think that their online segments, their online games, are kind of held separately, and I think they're overseen by a different company that probably handles that. But like I said, Fallout 76 has been fixed multiple times. They've cleaned it up. But the thing that what you and I love about is that Bethesda still makes, quite honestly, fantastic single player experience games that we come back to, and you still play Fallout 4. You never got into Elder Scrolls, but I've played Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. I played Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4. So it's it's a game you can play in perpetuity almost.
Pretty sure Fallout 4 is second only to Rust on my gameplay on Steam. I do think it's, as you were saying, Elder Scrolls Online is a relative success. The fact that this game is as old as it is, it came out in 2014 and it's still pay to play. Like it's not free to play.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Like, good for them.
Yeah. What, to your point you brought up earlier was, it's a new IP. It's very pretty looking. What are the specs? So the minimum system requirements according to Steam, which we'll just go with Steam because that's where everybody uses it. Windows 10. Your CPU, they'll need at least a Ryzen 5 2600X or an Intel Core i6 6800K.
i7? i7 6600K.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. 16 gigs of memory. And then for graphics, a Radeon 5700 or a G4 or GTX 1070 Ti.
Okay. This is basic.
And then version 12 of DirectX, 125 gigs of storage. And they say SSD is required, which I would have to say, if you're going to be playing games or anything, just go with an SSD. Don't really bother with an HD drive unless you've got some older stuff.
Alex.
But really,
Alex.
I mean, you've got your picks.
Naughty. There are plenty of games that you can play off of a...
Games that came out in 2023.
There are many games that you can play off of an HD that you don't need an SSD for, like the Swapper or The Sims 3.
But I'm just saying, because the problem is with games such as this, because of the graphics and everything needs to be loaded up. The second you leave, the vault in Fallout 4, you're just like, oh god, it has to load everything in this entire world and stuff.
I will say that the fact that it's a 1070 is the minimum card makes me feel like I might be able to get it to run on my 970.
So the recommended then is a Ryzen 5 3600X or an Intel i5 10600K.
Got it. Okay.
Memory still stays at 16. Graphics, they say AMD 6800 XT or a GeForce RTX 2080. So basically,
okay. I mean, these aren't insane specs.
No.
I thought these were supposed to be insane specs.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay, what's the insane spec?
Which is nice because it's not really insane.
No, it's not.
Let's take a look now.
It's Cyberpunk?
Still talking about games. It's Cyberpunk because this is something that came up this past week because Cyberpunk has announced their DLC pack. And the specs for that are way higher than this minimum specs for playing the base game.
Oh, so this is like in Oh, interesting that they're okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
No, you're fine. Let's see here. Let's see. So the base game for Cyberpunk, you need a Core i5 3570K or an AMD FX 8310, 8 gigs of RAM, a GTX 970, or Radeon RX 470.
Wait, what is this? What are you looking at?
So this is Cyberpunk's minimum specs.
The original?
Yes, the original one.
Oh, weird. Did that change?
I don't know what they did.
My card, I swear my card was not the minimum card when you bought me this.
I don't know what. Something must have occurred.
Because it didn't run that well on a 970.
It doesn't run on anything really well.
Okay, fair enough.
So let's take a look now on these minimum specs for their DLC.
Okay.
The DLC itself, it's going to be 70 gigs, and they say you need to have an SSD. You need a Core i7 6700 or a Ryzen 5 1600 for minimum to play the DLC. 12 gigs of RAM, a GTX 1060 or a Radeon RX 580 or an Intel Arc A380, which Intel makes graphics cards, if you didn't know.
You're like,
Yeah. But then they say the recommended specs on this is that you need an Core i7 12700 or a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D. They also say if you want graphics, recommended you need an RTX 2060 Super or a Radeon RX 5700 XT or the Arc A770, which is Intel's top of the line one.
so they're high.
So they're very high. And Linus was talking about this, and he's saying he's never recalled something where you have DLC for a game where the minimum specs are even much more higher than the original specs.
Isn't this how they got themselves into trouble the first time?
I think so, because I think what they're trying to say is that, hey, if you want to play this game, you either this DLC, which they make it sound like it's a complete overhauling of the entire game in a sense. Unless you have these minimum specs, don't even bother. Or it's like, hey, if you want to play this completely new, because they're making it sound like it's a completely new game, the way it operates, the way that the tech tree is, some physics stuff and things like that. If you want to play this game, hey man, you should maybe go ahead and upgrade this brand new, to this new GPU. You should maybe get a new processor, finally move on to nothing but SSDs and stuff like that.
Nothing but SSDs.
But even when you look at the recommended specs for like the base game, and then you take a look at it for like just DLC and sometimes in the past like like back in the day when we had expansion packs for like games and you actually got it like an expansion disc and stuff like that. I don't think you needed to really do anything substantial.
You didn't need to upgrade.
Yeah, because it all ran still in the same original engine. It was just additional content for it. But now it's pretty wow, because they're basically the base game's recommended NVIDIA card is a 1060. Now they're saying that they recommend you getting a 2060 Super, which is like, wow.
Whoa.
And it's just like, right. It's just like, what exactly is this game that you're telling people you need to like completely upgrade, sort of like, your CPU, your GPU, your memory, they're saying like, yeah, you have to have an SSD to do this stuff and things like that. You need 70 gigs of storage drive for this.
But my issue is that although I like that they specified NVMe, so even having a SATA SSD isn't good enough for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, apparently.
It's funny to me that they got themselves into so much trouble the first time around with the launch of this game, and now I feel like they're setting themselves up for it again.
Yeah, or they're trying to cover their butts.
Oh, and say like, we told you couldn't do this.
Yeah, and we said this is, so it's kind of like you're sort of telling a whole bunch of people that like
don't buy
don't even bother with this. And it's like, well, why did you end up deciding to do this in the first place? Because this whole DLC thing, and then top it off, it's like, how much is this DLC? It's $30, considering it's been how many years since the original game came out, and you're like, oh, well, we finally have DLC for it, and it's gonna be $30. Well, and it's like,
I also feel like part of the issue to me is that, okay, so Cyberpunk has all of these requirements.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it looks significantly better.
No, and I've watched it and I'm like, okay, so you brought back what's his face? Keanu Reeves, and now you've got Idris Elba playing a character. It's like, is this what the money is going towards?
This is on the new DLC?
Yeah, because I think CD Projekt Red gets subsidized by the Polish government, as do pretty much every single company in Europe by their country and stuff like that.
See, this gunplay in Starfield looks like Half-Life to me. Or not Half-Life, sorry. Looks like
Half-Life 4.
Fallout 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Fallout 4. Yeah,
Fallout 4. But it looks a little bit more polished, cleaner, more.
It uses
Creation
it's Creation Engine 2.0.
Yeah.
So they've been able to kind of spruce it up and stuff.
But I liked the gunplay in Fallout 4. Yeah. So
you know what's funny is that they were always known for their hack and slash fantasy games, and I feel like the gunplay going from Fallout 3 to New Vegas, which introduced the iron sights for the series, to then Fallout 4, and now I guess they had Fallout 76 probably did some changes. Now to this, it's gotten better. They've improved upon it. They've looked at what works for other games, that are in the similar genre and stuff like that. So, yeah.
But I guess only time will tell.
So because of that, one of your hosts decided to go and get a chonky boy.
Oh my! Okay, you're not. Good job, Alex. It's green. It's green, Alex. Do I need to teach you?
Oh God. Anyways, it's an RX. It's an RTX 3060. So
wait, does Erica know about this? You're showing off the
Black Ops.
You're
she
showing.
doesn't watch the show.
Okay. All right.
Amaranth's not there anymore. She moved her over to a different thing now. Kick is a new thing. Did you hear about this?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Speaking of internet weirdness, Alex, over the past week, there has been a whole thing going on with our good friends over at Reddit, our favorite
what do they do
message board. Do not pay attention to the fact that this is from 4chan.
Our boys didn't do nothing wrong.
Don't pay attention to that. This is an important, serious issue that we have to discuss about Reddit.
Public service announcement.
This is a little quick timeline of what was going on Reddit this week. Long story short, Reddit has decided to take their API and make it private. And all of these third-party apps, like the one that I use, Reddit is Fun, which is I think it might just be an Android, but it's certainly Android. I don't know if it's on iPhone, but it's a very good app for reading Reddit posts. Okay, Alex is thinking.
Okay.
They're taking the API private, so Reddit is Fun, this app called Apollo, other things cannot access Reddit anymore. So all these apps, I paid $5 for that app, can't use it after July 1st.
So Reddit has decided to Tumblr itself.
Yes, but the thing is that Reddit has more countermeasures to its users, and also, not surprisingly, Reddit users have less honor and less conviction than Tumblr users did. Because Tumblr users were very happy to just watch Tumblr burn after they changed their policies.
Yeah.
Here's a timeline thus far of the major Reddit protests. We are going to black out subs for 2 days in protest, as in make them private so you can't access it. Nobody can access it. Basically, the mods for the subreddits will effectively shut down Reddit because they won't let anyone look at the subreddits. That was the first step. We may even black out permanently if nothing happens or changes. Reddit itself threatens that permanent blackouts will be met with moderator teams being reshuffled to keep the subreddits active. As in, if you're going to hide your subreddit and not let people use it, we're going to kick you and replace you and reopen
with scabs.
Yes, with scabs.
With scab admins.
And everyone loves power.
Oh, so if you want to talk about power admins,
so there are
mods, yeah. Especially there, yeah.
Reddit mods? Are you kidding me? So the Reddit mods, there's a bunch of people being like, it's like the Shaq gif, being like, and then the cat being like,
Or the guy had man in the trees like.
Instantly, 99% of moderators open back up because of the threat of losing their moderator powers.
God, look at them.
The big subs do silly memes to make it seem like they're still protesting, like changing, well, that sucks, into a vacuum cleaner subreddit. They also did this thing, I think it was like our pics, where it was just pictures of, who's the annoying Englishman on American television?
James Corden.
No, other one. on HBO.
Oh, that asshole.
Last Night Tonight with John Oliver.
He's so forgotten about now at this point too.
He's famous now on Twitter because everyone was posting pictures. Twitter, on Reddit, they were posting pictures of him. I didn't really understand why
he's gotten in years.
I didn't know why he was the one they went with, but fine. These subreddits inadvertently drive up their interaction with these silly protest posts. Oh yeah, Reddit was basically DDoS'd on the first day of the protest because CNN and MSNBC and all these mainstream news organizations were saying, hey, people are protesting Reddit. So Reddit got more.
Oh, so it had all the normies show up?
Reddit had more traffic than in the last 5 years because of this. So then,
go ahead.
And this is where devilish 4chaners, because I only go to blue boards. Because then it turns into you have the users who are rightfully complaining about Redditors being spineless, but also the Redditors who are correct in saying I only use the desktop site. I don't give a fuck about mobile apps. Why am I getting punished because you guys care about something that 80% of the audience doesn't care about, or even 50%? Fair point. But so I just like to do things that will hurt everybody. And, whatever's most damaging to all parties involved is what I encourage on Reddit.
It's about sending a message.
So you've got these subreddits that are tearing themselves apart.
You are tearing me apart!
Because the user base says we need to be closed, and the mods are saying, yeah, but let's vote to stay open. And so I'm voting stay open. Because then it just makes the Reddit look embarrassing. The Reddit users look embarrassing because they can't stand by their convictions. But also internally there's a mess because it's a bunch of young idealistic people who want to stand up to injustice the way they really like doing on Reddit. And
they decide not to.
So it's just overall it was a colossal failure. And there was
typical Reddit.
It was as successful as when they were tracking down the Boston bombers. I'll put it that way. So that's an internet. This will eventually be on Internet Historian. The Boston bomber Reddit disaster should definitely be on there.
Do their admins? I mean, I know about the Jannies and all that, but do their admins or whatever, or their equivalent of Jannies, do they do it for free also?
They do. Okay, so there's three technically, but moderators are the bottom rung. Those are the ones who do it for free. Admins are paid salary, actual sysadmins on Reddit, as I understand it. And then you've got true corporate political power at the top. So corporate Reddit admins, which are employed and paid,
middle management,
and then you've got the mods who do it for free. And I understand. Here's the thing: and everyone can make fun of Jannies, and they do it for free. It's very funny, but they're the people. Technically speaking, they're the people who are keep at the front lines of trying to maintain order on any particular. Moderators have been a thing forever. I've potentially been in moderator capacities in the past, not on any sites like this, but on forums, old web forum stuff. So I did it for free too, but I was, 22. So what else was I going to do? It wasn't I was out having fun with girls or anything meaningful.
But this is so funny because, it makes it seem like we're going to protest, we're going to do this, and then they say, oh, well, we're threatening to take away your mod privileges or position or whatever, and they get so freaked out about that, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm very sorry. I'm just like,
sorry, sir,
bro,
it won't happen again.
Come over to our side. You could do it for free, and it's all anonymous,
and nobody and nobody cares. But see,
it just shows how
they want the updates.
Yeah, I know, and it's it's really it's so inconsequential in the long run of things, and you can just still lurk anonymously and just take a look at everything. I don't know. I have a profile on Reddit. I did it one time for checking out.
You sound like Bill
subreddit or
Clinton
something
smoking pot. I signed up for an account, but I didn't post anything.
So you young people, okay, you guys remember back in
God.
2016, there was a woman called Hillary Clinton that was running. Her husband was a president in the 90s.
Oh, is this like the prequel? This is the prequel to Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, it was the prequels.
And just to
But the prequels actually came out first.
just to round this out, this topic really quick before we move on, I just love. So this was on the technology board on 4chan.
Mm-hmm.
The first post, best post. You need to go back. Nobody wants to hear about this. That's what's fun. That's what's fun about the 4chan. You know what else is fun, my friend? Hardcore science fiction films from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yes.
And-
1979.
And Alex and I had a rare treat.
Yeah. You got to see a movie from the comfort of my couch in my living room and beer.
We watched it together is the main thing.
Yes, we cuddled together.
At 4%
Whenever
volume
vegans.
with no captions. But we watched Star Trek.
And William Shatner's acting.
We watched Star Trek: The Motion Picture,
Yeah, the very original one.
which
there was
I
the
had
film
never seen before.
you never seen before, and you also told me you've never seen any of the OG Star Trek ones. Have you watched any Star Trek film, even the next gens?
I have seen First Contact and Insurrection. What am I supposed to watch? They're all bad.
I know, but Insurrection's really bad.
Insurrection's the most that's like a TV episode. In fact, I think it's like a remake of a TV.
It's got Worf's purple bazooka.
It's the same. It's the same thing as Who Watches the Watchers.
Yeah, but that was good.
I mean, I guess I could say the same.
And it
thing
was only about
every-
40 minutes runtime, so
all the next gen episodes. It's like
yeah,
we've seen all the movies. There's the TV series is a better version of it.
yeah. So Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It was the film that came out prior to Wrath of Khan, which a lot of people don't even know because it's called Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan. I mean, you should have. Roman numerals is hard. It was released in 1979, and basically the premise of the film is that Captain James Tiberius Kirk, the first of his name, is now an admiral who's kind of taken more of a backseat to a lot of the day-to-day Starfleet things, has to come back into the fold with his original crew and a refitted Enterprise to save the Federation once again from an unknown mysterious threat in space.
Yeah, where does this threat show up originally?
I believe it's
Jupiter.
near Jupiter.
Okay.
It's investigated by 3 Klingon D7 class star cruisers. I believe they are D7s. Maybe they're D5s. No, I would say they're D7s. D5s. Anyways, but it's basically it's so that's basically what they have to do. Brendan, take it away.
Like Alex said, this is the first time I've seen any of the original series films. This was a film that I had started watching, and then with my friend who I was watching with, we had been drinking a lot, and I said, "Oh, this is a real movie. I need to pay attention to this. So I can't watch this right now. I just want to have fun and talk and shoot the." So then it went on the back burner, and then Alex discovered this about me and was like, "We're gonna watch this goddamn movie together."
Watching it.
Part of what appealed to me about why I wanted to see it is that I'd always heard from people that there's this weird situation that happened where 2001, A Space Odyssey, which is my favorite movie of all time, came out, and Star Wars, which is also one of my favorite films, came out, and Star Wars was a fantasy, action-adventure, sci-fi
Space opera
mashup. Mm-hmm. 2001 is a hard science fiction, introspective, big idea, high concept science fiction. And Star Trek was like, we're going to make a movie. And they were like, what is this movie going to be like? Is it going to be fast and like awesome laser shooting? No, we're going to do 2001. We're going to do that.
We're going to do Boring Trek.
We're going to do Boring Trek. And the reality is that Star Trek continues throughout all of its iterations to be at its best when it's high concept, boring Trek.
Yes.
There are maybe a couple of episodes of Voyager that I would say don't fully embrace that. Or my favorite episodes of Voyager, like the Year of Hell. It's a two-parter that has a lot of action, but it does have some high concept sci-fi stuff going on.
It's able to restrain that.
Yeah, it's balanced.
Yeah.
And so watching this movie, I really didn't know anything about it. It has some really vivid imagery. The famous transporter scene, which I had seen before in passing, is haunting to this day. The way it's handled is fantastic. And then when I was watching with Alex, and I said this to you, like the ultimate payoff of what is going on, because there is still that element to this, where it is a mystery, which the best Star Trek episodes treat what's the scientific, this mysterious, this occurrence or
unknown mysterious force. That's
whatever this force is, it turns into like, well, what is this? What is going on? How do we diffuse it? What's the terms of this? And the movie does the same thing, and it actually has a payoff. It's not just, oh, it's an alien. It's not just, oh, there's an alien coming, we have to kill it. There is not only a reason, but a very clever, unique reason for what's going on that harkens back to the days of like 40s and 50s science fiction, like comics and novels. Is how I felt about it. Like it felt like an Arthur C. Clarke story or something like that. Down to the matter-of-fact weirdness of the ending, and like people do stuff and it's just like, well, okay, that happened, bye. Like it had that sort of who wrote Slaughterhouse-5? Kurt Vonnegut. There we go. It had that Kurt Vonnegut sci-fi feel to it, which is like very off-kilter, kind of weird and fun. And while I would have preferred to have watched this on the big screen for the first time with the sound system, I kind of loved it. I've said this before, but this kind of fits into it. Because since I couldn't really hear everything that was being discussed, I actually rewatched.
Sorry about that.
I actually rewatched this because I wanted to give it a fair shot, because I hadn't. Yeah. So I watched it last night. That's why I texted you. I'm like, are we doing it tomorrow night? Because I really wanted to rewatch this again. But while I would have liked to have seen it differently, it fulfills this standard for me, which is if you can watch it on mute in a bar and still be entertained by it and like be interested in it, then it's a pretty solid film. And so that's I thought I kind of loved it. I thought it was great. I wish I would have seen it sooner. And it has piqued my interest on finishing watching the Star Trek original film series.
Yeah.
So I would give it 4 pots of gold. I thought it was fantastic.
Wow. Okay. Wow. 4 pots.
Yeah, Alex is like, huh? I didn't like it that much.
No. I think for itself, the film itself, it has Sid Mead associated with the project, who did some of the rehashings of the V'ger.
Come on, man.
V'ger. Sorry, it's been a week, dude. It's been a week. And I was falling asleep on the couch. You know me.
Oh, that's right. You were. I forgot about that part.
I was like, feature character. He did a redesign of it. Douglas Trumbull, which you know from Space Odyssey, was brought in to help with some of the visual effects. So it does have a very interesting pedigree. I think Isaac Asimov might have even been involved in possibly some
he was a
very
advisor.
early work. Yeah, advising. So it's got a lot of guys that, you know, that they have names for stuff in the film industry and such like that. The whole concept itself came about because this version of Star Trek was going to originally be done in something called Phase 2, which they were going to kind of move some of the timeline forward by a number of years with the original cast, or as much of them as they could. Have a new Enterprise. It was going to be kind of a different setup with who was going to be involved with it and who wasn't, from the characters and such like that. So they reused a lot of those concepts, most noticeably the costumes, as you could tell, which were very tight.
Men wearing pants so tight you can tell what religion they are. Yes!
It's also, you know, in and of itself, like we said, it could be a self-contained, almost like a 2-part episode from the original series that could be kind of like a television special where it's, you know, it's been how many years in the future and the crew has to all get back together, because it was kind of funny. I don't know, one thing that caught my eye is that when all the actors were doing their roles, it at times kind of seemed like they were trying to remember how the character was portrayed by them when they were doing things like William Shatner was kind of coming off his TJ Hooker years. James Doohan was kind of having this kind of sometimes goofy Scottish accent where he was almost kind of like phasing in and out of just him being Canadian and a Canadian guy trying to do a Scottish accent, because it was over a decade since they, you know, Star Trek finished in 69 and this was in 79. So it was like a lot of them kind of did a bunch of things in between, and they had to kind of come back and try to figure out how to do, you know, the characters that they once portrayed. So it was kind of an interesting thing. In and of itself, you know, it's good, solid, boring Trek.
Like how we keep saying boring as like a selling point of this film.
I know, but that's the thing. I mean, because honestly, you could take a look at what's being shown on Paramount Plus, and Star Trek on Paramount Plus is starting to be just as bad as Star Wars on Disney Plus, where you're just regurgitating how many projects, trying to see what sticks on the wall, you know, and none of it's really nothing's gonna be memorable years down the road, you know. But at least this in itself and everything, you know, that follows it up until the end of Enterprise, even the bad Next Gen films, you know, you still kind of remember them. And this in itself is also just very different from the next 5 films of the original series, you know, which they just call it the Star Trek films in many cases. But I would have to give it probably about 3.5 pots of gold, in my opinion. You know, it's just very good visual effects, you know, which is something that Star Trek's always been, you know, best known for, you know, just the space exploration. You know, there's this threat, we have to send out the best of Starfleet, which happens to be, you know, James Kirk and his crew and the Enterprise, the flagship of the fleet. We're going to send them out. They know what they need to do. They're going to do their best to save us. And, you know, it's good to see everybody back together after that long period of time.
Well, and I do like how it handles, you know, Kirk wanting to be captain again, even though he shouldn't be, I think, and not making the other captain incompetent. He's not like incompetent. He's actually right multiple times
in many cases, yeah.
And so it's nice that they just didn't take an easy way and be like, oh, the bumbling new captain sucks, and so Kirk has to take over. It makes a nice conflict.
It's something that they kind of carry over into Wrath of Khan, because Kirk has been promoted to the rank of admiral at this point, so he doesn't have the command chair anymore of his own vessel. He's, you know, basically become this administrative paper pusher kind of guy. He is far less situated. He's far less of an individual that would want to have that, but I think he took that promotion reluctantly, and it then harkens back years later in Star Trek Generations, where he actually tells Picard, whatever you do, don't let them ever take your captain's chair from you, fight a tooth and nail, which Picard never listens to because he's French, and he hangs around with Ian McKellen all the time. But, what's funny then at that point is that while Kirk tells Picard that, Picard was much more of compared to Kirk, he was more of a person that would not mind getting that admiral's promotion down the road. Right. So it's kind of interesting to see how this kind of idea kind of weaves itself back, later on.
So high rankings for Star Trek the Motion Picture. If you can definitely appreciate it if you have no understanding or even just a cursory understanding of the TV series. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really liked the ending. So that's what sealed
unfortunately,
the deal for me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, compared to the rest of the original series films, it kind of gets really badly maligned and panned by many individuals, including many Star Trek fans. But in and of itself, like without any of the other ones, like I said, it's something that feels like it was a made for TV movie almost. It uses elements that were going to be used for the next version of Star Trek, and it's actually pretty entertaining and quite good, to be honest. So it's something that everybody should be able to give a chance to, at least for one viewing, and then after that, make of it as you will.
Well, on that note, Alex, I think it's about time we rack up. On that note, I think it's about time we wrap up this week's episode of Culture Doom.
Yes, thank you very much once again for tuning in here on YouTube to listen to us rant and just kind of ponder the mysteries of life, of personal hygiene, Twitter failures, and things having to do with ridiculous gaming specs to play a game that's not even that great. Cyberpunk, I'm saying. I think Starfield's going to be better. But anyways, thank you very much. We will see you next time. On behalf of Brendan, this is Alex saying Dopa Bachinya from Culture Doom, episode 416.